Antonia Okafor is a gun rights advocate. I met her during CPAC when we were doing the NRA booth that I was doing for NRA over there. And she's just an absolute incredible person and a warrior for so many rights, has a great background story. So let's bring her in. Antonia, how are you? It's good to see you.
I'm well. How are you? Thank you so much for having me here.
My pleasure, my pleasure. So look, when I was a younger kid, I wanted to be a fighter pilot when I was a boy, but then I lost the vision test, and then I went to theater department at the University of Florida. And I became, an actor and a writer, and I'm surrounded by all these liberals, and I believed all these liberal things. And I used to think Ronald Reagan was an idiot, and I used to think, the way we stop crime is through gun control. You went through something kind of like that, didn't you?
Yeah, not the actor route, at least not now. But, I grew up in a family, well, they're still predominantly liberal and Democrats, and I voted for Obama twice. So I definitely come from a background where I wouldn't say on the gun rights issue that I was adamantly one way or the other, but definitely identified as a Democrat and probably would have said anything that the Democratic Party told me that I should have been, agreeing on, which I'm sure it was gun control. I would have said something similar. So I absolutely understand that livelihood.
So do you have the same kind of problem that a lot of people have at Thanksgiving, where you now have to go back to a family that's just really kind of not even, I was going to say almost like, guarded, but actually kind of hostile to what you believe? I went to Thanksgiving with people I've been going to forever. And once they realized that I was a conservative commentator, these people that I'd grown up with, these people I'd taken care of, they start looking at me like I'm a Nazi or something.
Yeah, definitely after Trump won, it was, let's just say that I didn't really talk to my family for about a week afterwards, just to make sure things were calmed down a little bit. But yeah, I mean, something where I'm noticing more and more that I have to be more careful about what I say in front of my relatives because I'm definitely the odd man out. And with this political environment, it's even more hostile than probably in the past. So it's definitely something I have to be cautious of. But you know what? I always try to bring the Second Amendment into it and make that a common, a place of where we can talk about something that doesn't necessarily have to do with being Democrat, Republican, or Libertarian. It just has to do with a foundational American value. And I think a lot of people can talk about that, particularly in African American history, that gun rights has been something that's been beneficial to us and something that we should be championing and advocating for. I should not be an anomaly.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, because of this political environment, they've made it to the point where people think that because you're a Democrat, that therefore you can't be for Second Amendment or you can't be for what we consider, the right to bear and keep arms, like the Constitution allows, is something that's opposite of what we believe in. It's not true.
Well, let me ask you something a bit more personal, and you feel free to ask me any personal questions you want to as well. What's that like? I mean, what does that transaction sound like? Is it hostile? Is it disbelieving? I mean, when you say that's the most hurtful part of it, how does it happen? Does it happen on campus? Can you just kind of tell me like how that kind of goes down?
Yeah, well, I usually with the African American community, it's usually them calling me a name first, right?
Yeah, nice start.
Uncle Tom, or really they call they call me the worst versions of that. It's just the one I can say on
Yeah.
a live, but really what I usually hear is talking points. It's what I've heard on media and things that NRA is racist, or how can you be for guns on campus? That's racist. Particularly that time when last year when all the media was talking about was white cops versus a black victim. Everything was about racism. And that's really what it's always been about. When I left the Democratic Party, I was really sick of this, victimization, victimhood type of mentality where people thought that just because you are a certain color that you have to think a certain way. And if you weren't, then you were against that person. You were a racist or a sexist. I know where they're coming from. I know the talking points that they've been fed, but it's not going to go down to the real issue is that we're really on the same side here.
Yeah.
But when you call someone racist or a sexist, it shuts down the conversation immediately, and they know that.